Hello, my name is Brian Klingenpeel and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for Roanoke County Fire and Rescue. You may not know this, but on July 1st of this year, our department, Roanoke County Fire and Rescue, will celebrate 35 years as a department. And so today we're here at Station 5 in Hollins to talk to Captain Mike Monroe, who has been with us for those whole 35 years. Captain Monroe was one of the first people hired in our department, and so we wanted to talk to him today and see about his service with our department. Thanks for doing this, Captain Monroe. So, tell me, what got you into the profession of being a paramedic and a firefighter?
I think for anyone that especially was come up through the 70s to show emergency and talk to anybody, talk to Billy Duff, who was hired with me, same reasons, just that show kind of gravitated us to this career.
Okay, and so what specifically brought you to Roanoke County?
Well, in 1983, the College of Health Sciences had started the paramedic program, and once again, Billy Duff and myself were in that class. After graduating from there, just finding a job as a paramedic was it wasn't a big field like it is now. Roanoke County was beginning to hire the first 6 paramedics they were hiring here. Roanoke County was one of the few departments that actually did not have an eyesight requirement, which back in, if you had contact lenses or you had vision worse than 20/30, you didn't get a job anywhere. So just that kind of all played into part. So it's kind of,
okay.
And they were just starting fire and EMS, first one in the valley here. So.
Okay. Are you from here? Did you grow up around here?
Clifton Forge, Virginia, so
okay.
About an hour away.
Okay, all right. And so what is your favorite thing about doing this job?
I think just coming to work and riding the truck every day is just, I just enjoy the unpredictability of it every day, and just especially being at a station like this, a high volume station, just something different every day. I just don't know how to do anything else. So.
Yeah, so I happen to know Captain Monroe is a huge physical fitness enthusiast, so tell us a little bit about what you do to stay in shape.
Usually at work, I'll run a couple miles in the morning. We got a sled we'll push out here in the parking lot. Days off, I got a little gym at home, I'll work out there. Just try to do a little something every day, nothing extreme, just a little something every day.
Yeah. Well, I think it's amazing that 35 years still in the field, riding the truck as a captain. So we just want to say thank you. We appreciate all you do for our community and for our department. And we hope you've enjoyed this segment with Captain Monroe today. Look for some more of these. We're going to try to do these every so often. He mentioned Chief Duff, and we've got some other folks we want to introduce you to. So we hope that you'll look for those here in the near future as well. If you have any questions about our department, feel free to call us at 777-8701, or you can find us on the web at roanokecountyva.gov/firerescue. Hello, my name is Brian Klingenpeel and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for Roanoke County Fire and Rescue. We at Roanoke County Fire and Rescue are celebrating our 35-year anniversary this month in July, and we have been introducing you to some of the folks who are still with us, who have been with us all those 35 years. Last month we talked to Captain Monroe, and this month we're talking to Battalion Chief Bill Duff. Bill, thanks so much for being with us today.
You're welcome.
So one of the things I want to ask you first, Chief Duff, is what got you into the fire and EMS profession?
Something I always wanted to do, but in the early 70s, a TV show called Emergency came on. And that introduced the world to paramedicine and to fire-based EMS. So that is really what brought me to this profession.
Okay. Very interesting that Captain Monroe mentioned the same thing last month.
Yes.
So that TV show must have been quite influential on a lot of people.
Yes, and it'll be celebrating its 50th anniversary in February of 22.
Awesome. Awesome. What brought you specifically to Roanoke County?
I've always lived in Roanoke County, grew up in Roanoke County, volunteered in Roanoke County, and then Roanoke County at the time was the only one in the valley that did fire-based EMS. Roanoke City had just started with a supplemental service. Salem was strictly volunteer on the rescue side, and the closest fire-based EMS to Roanoke was Lynchburg.
Okay, all right. What's your favorite thing about what you do today?
Just not knowing what's coming next and sort of helping people, being out there to serve the public.
Okay. We're here at our Mount Pleasant station this month, which is our Station 6, and you were telling me that this was your very first station assignment. So tell me a little bit about what that was like when you were first assigned here, what you did, what the equipment was like, some of those kinds of things.
So when the county hired the first 6 paramedics in March of '86, the original plan was to put 3 at 3 at Fort Lewis and 3 at Hollins.
Okay.
And then there were some other situations that rose, so they broke it into 2 at Fort Lewis, 2 at Hollins, and 2 here at Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
So at the time we came in, we worked split shifts, so one medic worked 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. The other medic worked 9 to 5, and then there was an 8 to 4 firefighter
Okay.
that was here. And so it was uncharted territory for us. And after about 5 or 6 months, they ended up moving the EMS personnel to Clearbrook Station.
Okay. All right. I know you mentioned a few minutes ago when we came in too that this ambulance was a lot bigger than what you used to have. Tell us a little bit about what your ambulance was like 35 years ago.
Well, when we came here, we had a box ambulance similar to this, but it was 2-wheel drive, smaller. It had a van ambulance and then an old Chevrolet Suburban that had been retrofitted into an ambulance. And then there was a bread type panel truck that was a squad.
Okay. All right. So with what you were mentioning there with that staffing model, were there times when there was just one person here, or was the firefighter able to cover and be your driver?
No, there was times when we rely mainly on the volunteers. The firefighter was here for the fire truck, and the volunteer fire chief worked across the street in his garage. He came over and drove the fire truck for the firefighter.
Okay. All right. And so as a paramedic, who drove for you?
If my partner was not here, if it was that by yourself time,
Yep.
then we had to wait for a volunteer to come in to drive for us.
I got you. I got
And
you.
this was all, beginning staffing. So it was all about budgets and what the county could afford and trying to cover the needs with what the budget would allow.
Right.
Kind of like today.
Yeah. Yeah. But we've come a long way.
We've come from, less than 40 to close to 200.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today, Chief Duff. We really, really appreciate it. And we really appreciate your 35 years of service to the citizens of Roanoke County.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity.
You bet. If you have any questions, if you'd like to know more about Roanoke County Fire and Rescue, you can find us on the web at roanokecountyva.gov/fire rescue, or you can call me directly at 540-777-8718. Hello, my name is Brian Klingenpeel, and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for Roanoke County Fire and Rescue. Over the past several weeks, we've been celebrating our 35-year anniversary as a department, and we've been able to talk to some folks like Captain Monroe and Chief Duff, who have been with us for all 35 years. Today, we are at our administrative offices on Cove Road, and I am happy to introduce you to Tommy Fuqua. Tommy was the first chief of our department in 1986, and he served until 1996. He's back with us these days as a volunteer and is our courier. Chief, it is so good to have you with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. It's good to be here.
So tell me a little bit about what things were like back in 1986 and how you got hired as chief.
Well, in 1986, prior to the new department, it was kind of, all the organizations were individual. They had no really leadership from a county perspective. It was determined by the Board of Supervisors and a county administrator with the input from me that we needed to combine everything into one department, and at that point, they made the change. We made the change to Roanoke County Fire and Rescue Department. We had quite many volunteers, and supported by a small number of career people. Of course, that has changed over the years, but that's where we were in '86.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were telling me that you were, prior to 1986, that you were just a firefighter with Roanoke County, and again, it was kind of just a support role to the volunteers.
Yeah, I started out as a firefighter in 1977.
Okay.
I was promoted to lieutenant in '79, and '81, I was named the Fire and Emergency Services Coordinator.
Okay.
Which, with that responsibility, was basically more of an emergency services role,
I got
dealing
you.
with disasters, things of that nature.
I got
but
you.
also providing support, some support for the individual fire and rescue stations. And I'd done that for up until in '86, and I was named chief of the new department at that point.
Okay, so what got you into fire and rescue, say prior to '77?
See, that's really I have to really dig back there. I started in fire and EMS in 1962.
Okay.
I was a senior in high school, and I was a junior member of Benton Fire and Benton Rescue.
Okay.
So from that point forward till '77, I was a volunteer at Benton and then at Clearbrook.
Okay. Awesome. What was your favorite thing about being chief from '86 to '96?
I think the most favorite thing was watching people grow. When they went to school and brought something back to the county that was new, and watching them provide that to the other members and seeing people grow.
Yeah.
That made me feel good.
Yeah.
That I could be a part of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit last time with Chief Duff about vehicles and some of those kinds of things. Tell me a little bit about what vehicles were like in 1986.
Well, 1986 we had what we called an open cab American LaFrancis were our key frontline pumpers. They had been bought in, I think, 83, 84.
Okay.
And the county bought 4 plus 2 tiller ladder trucks.
Okay.
And were placed strategically throughout the county.
Right.
But things have really changed on them, most especially the prices. I remember we paid $63,000 for the pumpers.
Right.
Now you're paying $250,000.
Right. Right.
$200,000 to $250,000 easy.
Yeah.
So that's really changed.
Yeah.
And the design, also the safety aspects for firefighters and everything. So it's been a good transition.
Those open cab American LaFrancis, they're some of my favorites.
Yeah,
I think those
I
are really
I
neat
love
trucks.
working that truck. It was a pumping fool.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It would do the job.
So in 1986, I know that's when we kind of first started hiring some paramedics because we were Roanoke County Fire and Rescue.
Right.
But so total staff in 1986 was what, maybe around 40?
Yeah, it was right at that 40 mark.
Okay.
It may be minus a couple.
Right.
I don't have the exact figures, but I remember it was somewhere in the neighborhood, closely around 40.
Yeah. And today we're at almost 200.
Yeah. Big transition, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's gone. Actually, the department's gone from being one of supporting the volunteers to the volunteers providing a level of support for the career staff
Right.
now. So
Exactly.
So that's a major transition over the 35 years.
Absolutely.
It don't seem like it's been 35 years. I will tell you that.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you did after you left Roanoke County Fire and Rescue.
Well, I retired. When I retired, I went to work actually as a contractor for the federal government. I taught at the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland for 10 years.
Okay.
And then I made a decision, hey, it's time just to kind of lay back and enjoy retirement. And the more I went through with that, I got to thinking it sure would be nice to go back and do something, provide some type of service to the department that they don't have the money to fill, a position to fill. And so I talked with then Chief Simon, along with the 2 deputy chiefs, and we looked at different things that I could do to help the department. And one of the major issues was we need a courier. We need somebody to take equipment, and uniforms, everything to all of our 12 stations.
Right.
And so I started doing that, and I do it 2 days a week, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah. I know the fellows love having you come out and visit, and we thank you for all you have done, fire department, and all you continue to do.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Enjoy it.
Yep. So if you have other questions about Roanoke County Fire and Rescue, you can contact me directly at 540-777-8718, or you can find us on the web at roanokecountyva.gov/firerescue.
For our Roanoke County Foster Family Program, we are looking for families who can be patient and kind empathetic to biological family, and willing to work with kiddos through a spectrum of behaviors. Most families that would do well within our program are usually families that can be flexible, usually families that can work with kiddos with traumatized behaviors, which sometimes looks like aggression. It sometimes looks like misunderstanding of situations. It sometimes looks like lack of communication. So regarding families working with our kids, we need families who are going to stay, who are going to work for the best interest of the children, and who are going to, above all else, root for the kids to have whatever they need, whether that be returning home, going to stay with a kinship family such as fictive kin or a grandparent or relative. There's a wide spectrum of what foster care could look like for every child.
So when we're talking about resources in this context, we're talking about traditional foster homes or kinship foster homes. So on the staff end, we have staff that work with prospective families. We recruit them, we train them. We have staff that work with our currently approved families that are actively fostering and have children in custody in their homes. Our families that participate in our resource program are regular families that are located all throughout our community, and they are providing a service to other families located all throughout our community. They are providing a home, the least restrictive level of foster care. They're providing a safe, nurturing home for that child, but they're also working closely with the child's birth family, with community partners, with other members of that child's team, and all working together to help support that child's transition back home. Foster families may be providing longer-term placements that could even become permanent if the child cannot go home or cannot be placed with a relative and that family has interest in adoption. Some of our families just provide what we call respite or shorter term or emergency placements.
The main goal is keeping the child connected to and placed with family from the very beginning. If we can identify relatives or fictive kin, so fictive kin meaning a family friend, godparent, teacher, it stands to reason that the child will be more comfortable living with them instead of a stranger. Even if we're not able to place a child in the home of family or fictive kin from the beginning, we're searching for these connections as long as the child is in foster care, so that if the child cannot return home, we can still keep them connected to their family.
So the training and assessment process is really designed to be mutual. So just as much for our agency to work with families and assess if the family is a good fit for our program, as it is for families to assess, is fostering really a good fit for us? And is the agency really a good fit for us? So families are going through 30 hours of pre-service training that is designed to help them develop specific competency areas to successfully foster. So families are learning things like, how does the child welfare system work? How do I parent in a trauma-informed manner? How do I engage with birth families? They're learning all these different things across all these competency areas. And hopefully they're developing a really strong support system with other families going through the same process that'll carry with them once they start actively fostering.
But regarding our families, some very specific examples that we have seen do really well. We have had families who are empty nesters, and they seem to have very flexible schedules. They can work well with our teenagers, and they often have that flexibility in their schedule, as well as a good degree of patience if they have experienced parenting before. We've also had families that don't have any other children in the home, and they can sometimes do well with our kids that need full attention. Some of our children have experienced intense trauma, and that makes it hard for them to be in a home with other children in care. So we really appreciate a variable amount of families, from empty nesters to young couples with no kids in the home, to single moms or single dads who are willing to care for children, maybe not for a long period of time, but for up to 2 weeks of care, and are willing to be flexible and work with kids and give them a good experience of short-term foster care.
The only thing I'm thinking about with kinship is for people who can't be a kinship placement, but how they could also stay involved in terms of if you're not able to be a kinship placement for a child, then you can still support that child by sending them letters, taking them to the mall, taking them out to eat once a week, taking them back to school shopping, FaceTiming with them, having a monthly phone call with them, going to church with them, that, just family and fictive kin can still stay connected to these children, even if they're not able to take them into their home full time.
I think families need to know that fostering can be an incredibly rewarding experience for the entire family, but it can also be a really difficult experience. So we believe that children do best when they are raised with their birth families when at all possible. So when there's no less drastic alternative to a child coming into care, our primary goal is reuniting that child with his or her birth family. And when that's not possible, with placing that child with a relative. So I think foster families really need to be able to see fostering as families helping families and really be able to genuinely support that child's permanency goals.
So if families are at a point where they really want to help locally, but they're unable to foster right now, there are a few options. One of the options is advocacy, and being a part of some of our community engagement events, such as monthly Zooms, is a really good way to learn about fostering and advocating for local children. This might not look like you fostering at the moment, but it might look like having the resources to share with your friend who's considered fostering for years. Or it might look like having the resources to share with a teacher friend of yours who's working with a child experiencing trauma within the school. Ultimately, one thing you can do is be a community member engaging in trauma-informed care for our kids and families that have experienced hardship and trauma themselves. So being able to be an advocate is absolutely an asset to being a part of a trauma-informed community. And even if you are unable to foster, being an advocate is a huge help. If you are unable to foster and you would be interested in possibly working with our department and leading some of these community engagement events, or possibly donating items to some of our teenagers who are experiencing foster care, please contact me, Amber Tiller, at atiller@roanokecountyva.gov, or call 540-682-3361.
I'm here today at the Roanoke County Police Department talking with Officer Thurman Butts and Officer Greg Benton. Thanks for talking with me today, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
And we're going to talk about a very important position here at the Roanoke County Police Department. It's crime prevention coordinator position. And Officer Butts, why don't you tell us, you've been in the position for a number of years now, so why don't you tell us a little bit about the position?
Absolutely, Amy. So what the crime prevention coordinator does here in Roanoke County is we specialize in community outreach. So essentially we are the liaison between the community and the department. We specialize in numerous groups and resources that we offer to the community, such as neighborhood watch groups, the Citizens Public Safety Academy. We also are heavily involved with Triad, as well as the Faith-Based Safety Summit. So we offer a numerous amount of resources and programs that we offer to the community. We are also available to the community to answer questions and field complaints, such as speeding complaints or any type of suspicious activity complaints. All those are usually routed through the Office of the Crime Prevention Coordinator. Absolutely.
Okay. And this position rotates every so often, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So it is a 3-year position. I took over as the crime prevention coordinator in 2018.
and I am now exiting that role here in 2021, and I feel as though that I have served the citizens of Roanoke County very well. I've done my best to offer them the most amount of resources and programs that I possibly could, and now it's time to hand that program over to Officer Greg Benton.
And now tell me, do you have any special memories, a very memorable moment in your time as coordinator?
Actually, I have so many. You know, I couldn't sit here and you know, keeping the best interest in time, you know, in mind.
Right.
But I will tell you that the neighborhood watch groups and coming into contact with all the citizens within the community that I serve, you know, that's always going to be with me. I have grown such a special relationship and such a bond with every single last citizen from my neighborhood watch group meetings that I'm personal friends with all of them now. And that's something that I just truly cherish. I really am going to truly miss our monthly meetings that I'm going to attend with them. And just like I told Officer Benton, that I plan on still attending a few of the meetings throughout the year. So I look forward to that. I promise I will not forget the citizens of Roanoke County. And then another most memorable moment that I remember being the crime prevention coordinator or serving as a crime prevention coordinator would be the first annual faith-based safety summit. You know, back when we first started that program, unfortunately, a lot of houses of religious worship or places of religious worship were being targeted. They were, being plagued by different types of violent crimes, mass shootings, stabbings, things of that nature. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to offer a safety program for the houses and the places of religious worship, so that way they could not only practice their religion openly, but they could do so safely. So I feel as though that program offered them with the necessary safety tips that they could openly and freely practice their, religious practices, but being safe, keeping safety in mind. So that's something that I am really proud that we were able to offer the citizens of Roanoke County, and I look forward to working with Officer Benton here for the second annual Faith-Based Safety Summit, which that will be coming here soon.
So Officer Benton, what are your goals for the position of Crime Prevention Coordinator?
So I've got a few goals. One of the biggest ones I would say is getting everything back on track with the way 2020 has gone. There's a lot of programs that we need to get back running and back in full force again, so we're definitely going to focus on that. But I'd also, including the ones that Officer Butts had already mentioned before, we're going to explore looking into reaching out to more of our minority communities, especially for me, the Hispanic community. I have a Hispanic background, so I'd like to reach out to them and hopefully use that and let them know that we're not there to, we're not there to make their lives harder. We're there to make them better, where they can come out and reach out to us.
And so, how does your work as Crime Prevention Coordinator help keep citizens of Roanoke County safe?
So it helps by having a face that they can be familiar with is the biggest thing. Sometimes just the car and an unknown uniform can be intimidating. Hopefully by having one person that they get to know and are familiar with will help them voice their concerns a little more readily so that we can be there to help them, because if we don't know that there's a problem, it's hard for us to help.
Sure.
So hopefully that will kind of bridge that gap.
Yeah, she'll be able to get out in the community. I know part of the role that Officer Butts has done, you go out to businesses and do security checks and provide services like that. Can you talk about some of those services you might be doing?
Yes, so as Officer Butts had already mentioned, we are working with houses of worship to make sure that they have safe areas to worship. We can also do businesses, homes. If you have a concern of any type, reach out to us and we'll do what we can to best address what that issue is. If we need to come out and take a look at a particular piece of property and identify what the weaknesses are and why you might be having that, we can do that. If we need to have increased patrol of some type, we've got many resources. We just need to know what the issue is, and together as a community we can discuss what the best solution to whatever that particular problem is.
Right, okay, and then neighborhood watch groups are really important. I know
Exactly.
you've done a lot of work with those over time, so I'm sure you're looking forward to getting into that.
Yes, I've met a few and they have all been very good groups of people, all know that their communities very well, so they're an essential tool, especially to us, to let us know what's happening, what time things are happening, and what they think the best solution is, because they know their neighborhoods better than anybody else.
Right, right. Okay. Well, you have a lot of things to do. It's always important to let the community know that it's safe, but we have services like you two have provided, will be providing to keep people safe. And if they want more information, how can they reach you?
The best way is to go ahead and call the police department. If they need to get a hold of me directly, they can let the operator know, and messages, they can either leave a message or one will be sent to me of who I need to respond to, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can, for sure.
Okay, great. Well, good luck to you in this new role. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
we'll be talking to you again and get some updates on how things are going through the year. And Officer Butts, thank you so much for your service to the
Absolutely.
community.
It's been a pleasure working with you. It's been a pleasure serving the citizens of Roanoke County as the crime prevention coordinator. Absolutely.
That's great. Thank you both.